Hey everybody, happy it's Wednesday. We're recording a Monday show, but it's Wednesday. Hope you're doing well. Hope you are wrapping up your Christmas shopping. And if you're celebrating Hanukkah, hopefully your celebration is going well here about midway through the celebration there. And if you're in anywhere Midwest, East Coast, Great Lakes, Northeast, hope you're getting those blankets ready. Because man, I'm telling you what, it's knocking on our doorstep here in Missouri. It's a coming in the morning. The snow, the cold, 35 below. They're saying Friday morning. So, the wind chill, not temperature, but who cares at that point? I'm not going outside. So we are going to have a fun trip report. This one's going to be. Some people, tell me, "Wow, we just wish the trip reports were more timely," and I get it because we have so many people ask. And I have to put people on the calendar that I have people asking. I'm like, well, the next spot is, right now, the next spot to record is in August. I mean, that's how it is. And so, they do get delayed. But this one, it's from a couple weeks ago. So this was super timely. This is going to be awesome. So we're going to talk to Jen out in Maryland about her trip, Jen and Len. You see Len all the time in the chat. And so where is Len tonight, by the way?
He's here. He's probably listening to the show that just dropped.
Okay, I was making sure my guy Len's there. Okay, I was just wondering. I'm like, oh, where is Len, by the way?
Yeah, I asked if he wanted to be part of this, and he's like, oh no, this is your interview. You do it.
Okay, cool. Well, tell Len I said hello. All right, let me make sure the sound is right. Got a good level there. And hello again to everybody who's joining us on Facebook and YouTube. I have new headphones, so I sound totally weird to myself, but we'll see how this goes. All right, so the one thing I need to know is what number it is. This is going to come out on January 2nd, everybody, because we're one ahead because marathon weekend is 2 weeks from today. I'll be down in Walt Disney World. Holy cow. 2 weeks from tomorrow is the 5K. 22:16. All right, we got the good thing. Okay, here we go. Welcome to episode 2216 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Monday to you and Happy New Year. Let's make 2024. It just sounds weird to say 2024, but let's make 2024 an amazing year. Nope, 2023. Why am I thinking 20? Because I book travel. We've been booking 2024. Let me try that again. Let's start from the top. Travel messes you up because I've been booking 2024 cruises. I don't even know what year it is anymore. Because oh god, okay, yeah, I'm an idiot at this point. Yes, because I've been working. Can you tell what I've been doing today? I've been booking. I had 6 staterooms for New Year's for a cruise that went from New Year's December 29th to January 2nd, 2024. So that's what I was thinking about. Okay, I got it. Ellen, that was your cruise, by the way. If you're listening, Ellen, yes, I got your cruise done. Oh my God. Sorry, I'm so sorry, Jen. No, you're like, no, he's lost his marbles. He has no year it is, and that is true. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I need a Christmas vacation. I don't know what year it is. Okay, here we go. And Fulton will say a prayer for your cat. We definitely will. Okay, here we go. Welcome to episode 2216 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com. And one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy New Year to you. Welcome to 2023. It's amazing. We started the show back in 2008. And here we are starting the year 2023 on the podcast. So glad to have you here. And let's make this year incredible. Set some goals, and let's chase those down over the next 364-ish days and just make every day count. Even if you don't go after New Year's resolutions and all that stuff. Let's just kind of all get together to make every day the best it can be and to just make every day count. Let's do that. And let's make it a great year. And I'm so glad you're here and I hope you had a wonderful holiday season and great New Year's celebrations. And I hope my football teams won on New Year's Eve. We'll have to see because we're recording this a little bit early, but we're going to have a fun trip report as we do here on Mondays. And we're headed out Maryland way. with a very recent trip report. This one's going to be a lot of fun. So we have Jen joining us from out in Maryland. Jen, Happy New Year. Thanks for joining us today.
Happy New Year to you too. Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
So glad to have you. So, how do you guys ring in the new year out at towards the East Coast, out in Maryland? Are there any kind of fun traditions out your way? I mean, have lobster rolls or anything? I mean, it's so stereotypical. It's like you should tell me you guys just eat toasted raviolis. We don't. Yeah. But what do you guys do?
Len and I don't. We're not late night people. So the New Year rolls in, and we wake up the next morning and go, "Happy New Year."
I'm the same way. I mean, I eat dinner at 4 o'clock. At 10 o'clock, I feel like it's midnight. And I'll be honest. I do try to. I try to keep my cool dad card by staying up with the girls until midnight, and it's a struggle because that's like the only night of the year that I will, maybe once or twice otherwise. But I'm telling you what, man, it is that is one that we don't go out anymore. That's just not going to happen. Well, the good news is, here's the good news though, and you might not realize this being on the East Coast because we're in the central time zone, is that we can kind of cheat because all the national coverage rings in the new year with the East Coast, right? So if we're watching any of the CNN or, ABC or any of those big shows, we're counting it down, but it's only 11 o'clock here. So we're good. It's like, well, it'll be the same in an hour. It's all good. So, yeah, Happy New Year. And, so glad to have you. And if you don't know, Len is always in our chat with us as we record live on Mondays. He's always there, good friend of the show. And just glad to have you both be able to share your trip with us.
Yeah, we had a great time. We were just out there a couple of weeks ago. We were out the first week of December. The goal for the trip was to see all of the holiday festivities, the decorations that everybody had put out, go to World Showcase and listen to all the different storytellers in each of the different countries. And so it really wasn't to ride rides and do all of the normal stuff that you would do when you go to Disney. It was really focused on the atmosphere for the holidays.
That's a great idea, because there's so much extra stuff going on around the holidays down at Walt Disney World that, the attractions are kind of there. For me, I feel the same way. They're kind of like supplemental. Oh well, hey, we could jump on this ride, to kill some time in between seeing a live performance here, or going to visit a resort there, or going to have this. And let's be honest, let's have this awesome snack during the holidays. I mean, it's what it's about for me. But let me ask you this kind of before we dive into like where you stayed and the details of everything you guys did. What's your background with Disney? Like, how long have you been going? How did you fall in love with the place? And what's kind of your backstory and some of your favorites?
We didn't go down together until after we were married, and it was our honeymoon, but it was actually several years later. Our daughter was 1 at that point, so we've been married 3 or 4 years, and we left her at home with the grandparents, and so we went down to Disney, and that would have been around 1988, I guess. And I counted up all the trips, and this was our 18th trip. We've gone down just the two of us. We've gone down with our kids when they were young. And just we were out there just 14 months ago, October of 21, with our kids, their spouses, their kids, and had a whole big family reunion, so to speak, down there not little more than a year ago. But this time it was just us with this one purpose in mind: see the holiday stuff.
Let me ask you one thing before we dive into this trip, because I always like to get people's perspective on this. Is there something from the past, because you've gone for quite a while and you've had quite a few trips? Is there something you wish you could bring back that has a little nostalgia for you? I mean, it doesn't have to be some headliner. It could be something that you may just have a personal connection with because it was like the first ride with a child, or a special event just happened while you were on that attraction. Is there anything like that you, or just something that was your favorite that's not there anymore?
When we went down, I guess at the Millennial, when they had all the extra countries down in World Showcase at the turn of the millennium, and they had this really amazing parade with these puppeteers, and that was just a phenomenal parade. And I wish that they would continue to do that one. That was just a really good parade. But honestly, one of my this is kind of sad. One of my favorite trips was when we went in 2007. We went down the week of Christmas, and everybody in the family got sick except me. But they did it all at different times. It was like 24-hour breaks. So first Matthew was sick, and so Len stayed back at the hotel with him. And Lisa and I had one-on-one time in the parks to do just what she wanted to do, and I could really focus on making her happy. And then she got sick, so I had one-on-one time with Matthew, and so I never got sick, so I had I had a good trip, but I really enjoyed that one-on-one time I had with each of the kids. That you really, when you're going down with the family, you really can't plan for.
I've actually heard that from more guests than you might imagine, where situations have arisen like that, where something's popped up. One parent has had to stay with one child, so it becomes more of like a one-on-one situation. Like, okay, I'll take the other child and we'll go for half a day, and they end up coming back saying that was the best time ever because it looked like it was going to be a tragedy at the time. It was very stressful that this came up, but what it did was it afforded us an opportunity to get to bond for 3, 4, 5 hours at a place that we love. And 5 years later they're still talking about that day because they thought they'd be traveling around as a group of 5, group of 6, and it was like dad and daughter, or mother and son, or what have you. And it was yeah, I hear that more than you think. And so it's good news, right? We're going into a new year, so just look at sometimes a negative can turn around into a positive. So if something like this happens, let's hope it does turn into something like that. And I'm totally with you on that parade, Tapestry of Nations. That was the greatest around the millennium, but over at Epcot, it brought World Showcase Promenade to life. You would watch that parade, then it would lead right into Illuminations, Reflections of Earth. And I'm telling you what, it was the perfect evening. In my opinion, you could not beat it. So
Yeah,
we
that was the best parade ever. Yeah.
right there. Okay. So let's talk about your trip. You guys stayed at the boardwalk. Oh my God.
Yeah, we stayed at the Boardwalk Villas, and I should preface this whole thing with saying that I have a medical dietary restriction, and so ever since that hit me, which was now many years ago, we've had to stay at the villas because my wonderful husband has to cook for me because I don't cook.
Good for
So
him.
we stay at the villas where we can have a stove, a full kitchen, and everything, and we plan on only one meal a day in the parks, and it has to be a table service ADR so that I can talk to the chef and explain my needs and things. And so that's why we're staying at the villas. And the beach or the boardwalk is Len's favorite. He both of us love the Epcot resorts because of the location, walking distance to Epcot, walking distance to Hollywood Studios. But his is the boardwalk. He likes to get the height.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, this time we were actually on the first floor. My favorite actually is the beach club. I just love the atmosphere of the beach club, and of course, you get the pool. You can't beat the pool there. So we kind of trade back and forth between the two when we go down. But this time it was the boardwalk, and you can't beat the deluxe resorts. They are just wonderful, so comfortable and luxurious, and the views are usually outstanding. And this time, like I said, we were on the first floor, so we looked out at this little lake between us and I guess the parking lot was a little bit farther beyond, but you really couldn't see it. And we saw turtles out there and heron and squirrels, so that was kind of fun. It was almost having like a little savannah like they have out at the Animal Kingdom.
I like the way you think. It was almost a savannah view at the boardwalk. Just squirrels and turtles. That I love your perspective. That's very positive. I'm gonna crack up about that for like 2 days when I think about this because that's exactly. I'm gonna tell people when I book them at the boardwalk. I'm like, you know what? You got a savannah view. They're like, what are you talking about? I'm at the boardwalk. Man, it's turtles, squirrels, heron. Listen to episode 2216. I'll explain it. Anyway. Okay, so one other thing though, so I love to ask people who have experience and they're experts because I don't have a lot of experience with a lot of things, but when I have guests on like you, so you guys cook in the villa often, and I wonder how many guests stay in the villas and never take advantage of the kitchenette or the full kitchen if they're in a larger unit. Do you have any tips for like getting your groceries or actually preparing meals while you're on vacation? Like, how do you make it work with your time? Because you don't want to spend a ton of time in there doing your meals. I mean, how have you made it efficient? How have you made it fun? How have you made it work for you guys now that you probably have a system?
Yeah, we have a fairly large size cooler with these ice pack, not the little blue ice packs. These are major ice packs that will keep it really cold for 24 hours. And so Len will do some cooking prior that is easy to, package up and put in the cooler. And then of course it has to go as checked luggage. It has to do that. And you don't pack anything in glass or anything like that. But he also makes a list. He has in advance what we're going to have for each day. So we when we get to Florida, we use Tiffany Town Cars,
Mhm.
and they're wonderful. And you're able to make a stop at a grocery store on your way to the resort, and they have no problem with that. And because Len has it all planned out, we get in and out of Publix just I mean in minutes.
I gotta stop you for one. Please tell me that I don't know if you can have one, but Len at least got a pub sub. That's like my favorite thing on earth. Maybe it's because we don't have Publix around here, but those things are the greatest.
No, he's never tried that. Like I said, we're in and we're out.
It's worth they're not that doesn't take that long to get them. I'm telling you what, I had my first one last year at Marathon Weekend, and I'm heading down, and just over later this week actually. And Scott and I just text back and forth about how many days until we get a pub sub. We're not worried about the races. We're not worried about the rides. We're worried about going to Publix and getting a pub sub, chicken tenders.
Well, next time we go down, we'll have to do that. We'll have to pick up a pub sandwich there while we're there, because normally we're getting eggs, we're getting chicken, anything that needs to be fresh, we're getting there, and we're headed right back out to the car because we got a driver waiting.
I know, I get you. No, I get you. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but no, it's that good. It's an emergency. But you guys, you really do a lot of so planning is the key
Mhm,
because you know
mhm,
exactly what you're going to have. You know the ingredient. You bring most of it, but you get the other fresh stuff you need, and then you just
mhm.
kind of stock up. And so, what about cooking though? When it comes time to cook, I mean, just no problem. You just kind of
Yeah.
right
Yeah,
there.
I would recommend anyone who's in a villa to always to just make your own breakfast. It's just faster, it's cheaper, and as a general, you're not heading to the bakery and getting all of the delicious
Oh man,
but
yeah.
fattening and sugary foods. So you can make a good healthy filling breakfast with proteins and things. That's quick and easy. I mean, bacon and sausage and hash browns and eggs. And, I mean, it's quick stuff. It's relatively quick, and it's not going to keep you from getting to the park any later than you normally would, because breakfast tends to be pretty fast. So I would recommend everyone who is making use of a villa to do that at the minimum.
Yep.
Um, and then we tend to do our ADRs for dinner time. And so, we'll go out into the parks, we'll stay until lunchtime, come back and do a lunch, and then chill in the early part of the afternoon and just get that break. And this is even better when it's really hot and you're out in the summertime. You really need that break at the heat of the day. And so you can make a nice leisurely lunch back in the villa, hang out at the pool or whatever, and then head back into the parks and do the ADR there. I know people don't, there are a lot of people who don't like to leave the park, because it does take time to leave the park, get back to the resort, but it works for us.
Well, especially because you guys did spend, some time in Epcot,
Mhm,
beach, boardwalk, yacht.
mhm.
You're right there. You could just
Right
walk
there.
out
Yeah.
and you're in your room. Um, yeah, good call. So great tips there for folks that are gonna, possibly dine because I mean, we didn't mention the big thing. You could save a lot of money that way too. I mean, it
Mhm.
saves you time, it saves you money. It is, I mean, I'll give you a pass. It is almost a crime against humanity to not go to the Boardwalk Bakery, or I guess it's the Boardwalk Deli
Oh,
now.
Len goes. He goes.
I'll give you a pass. It's the holidays. So,
But,
it's very
but
easy to
you
do.
don't need to do it every day.
No, you don't need to. 100%. I got you. No, I'm with you. And you know what?
And it
Everybody
never
should
stops Len from hitting all of the not all of from hitting the kiosks in Epcot and trying some of the different snacks that are there too.
Len, well done. I gotta give hang on. Oh, I don't have it set up, but I gotta give Len a bell next time I get here it is. The old fashioned bell. Okay, good. Okay, I was just gonna say. All right, so let's talk about some of the fun stuff that you did around the holidays, because again, the season's kind of closing out here for this year, but next year will be here before you know it, and
Mhm.
people will be asking. You guys went down. I know Len was asking about the timing and trying to get to as many storytellers because that is something very unique to Epcot during Festival of the Holidays. So did you get to see as many as you were hoping initially? And what did you think? Were there any that stood out to you? Was there an advice you have for folks that might be doing this next year? What were some of the highlights?
Yeah, well, because we were at an Epcot resort, we came in through the international gate, and so we came in around 11 o'clock when World Showcase is opening, and so we just started right at France when Père Noël came out. And we just started there and started working our way kind of backwards toward America, and and on up to Norway in that direction. And the storytellers are timed out pretty well that you can leisurely walk from one to the next. The only issue, it actually took us 3 visits to Epcot to see all of them, but we did go to all of them. Um, I suppose that if you really dedicate yourself to it, you could do all of them in one day. But we had we had to go. We went to Epcot that first day without really checking in. We dropped our bags at Boardwalk and then went into World Showcase. And then so, at 3 o'clock or so, when we got texted that our room was ready, we left. So that took time out from going through the storyteller. So you probably could do all of the storytellers in one day if you wanted to, but you're going to have to dedicate your day to that.
But
Not do rides, not do anything else.
and I probably wouldn't recommend that optimally, because if you're trying to see all the storytellers in one day, you're not enjoying each individual performance
Mhm,
as much, right? If you see 3, 4, 5 at one day, you're probably appreciating them more than if you see, 9 or 10 performances in one day, because it's kind of becoming a blur. I would much prefer to do it the way you did, kind of break it up
mhm,
with, like see 3 or 4 here, and come back see. I would, just personally, because if you're just trying to make it like I got to get them all in,
mhm.
you're just trying to kind of check things off of a box, I think.
Yeah, yeah, no, it worked out really well for us, breaking it up like that. We're there at different times of the day, had different types of people around us at different times. Because that first day when we were just kind of going down the line, chunkity chunk, the same people were basically moving with us.
It's
But
like, okay.
but it was nice because we went on a different day and we were over in Mexico at that point and was waiting for the mariachi band to come out. And uh, I'm short, so I like to be up front where I can see and take pictures. But Len does not like crowds and of course the sun. So he would find a spot back somewhere. He can still hear and he gets a decent view. Um, so I'm just sitting there waiting for the mariachi band, and I'm striking up conversations with the people around me. I did this at a couple of different stops that we were waiting for the band to show up, and I like doing that. I like starting up conversations with people. Where you're from, what have you seen, which did you like best, and that kind of thing. So we got some good advice on which you can't miss, and yeah, I agree with you. That one is the best kind of a thing. So I like doing that. I like doing that, but again, I'm an extrovert.
Mhm.
Len is not. So,
I hear you.
it all
That's my
depends on
wife,
who you are.
my wife's just like, yeah, I'm here, like just let me be. But here I am, Mr. Microphone, so I'll talk to anybody, and I love to get opinions, because differing opinions are awesome. To
Mhm.
hear what'd you like, why okay, if it's something I didn't like, why'd you like that? What drew you to that
Yeah.
story over my favorite? Like, you're wrong, like mine, Mexico's the best, the mariachi band, you can't beat. What would you say was your favorite out of all?
We both agreed that we liked the Hanukkah storyteller best.
Nice.
He was very entertaining, and the stories were interesting. We really liked him. Len, of course, liked the mariachi band. Um, and oddly enough, the person I was talking to at the mariachi is like, "Oh, you can't miss the Dickens carolers over in America. They're by far the best." So, okay. So we did eventually make it over to America for that, and I sat front row center. I'm underneath the dome, and they came out in their beautiful Victorian costumes, and they sang, and it was beautiful. But I wouldn't say that they were the best. I think the Hanukkah singer was the best. Um, Len, who's kind of an aficionado of a cappella groups, and I had to agree with him. He said there wasn't enough low voices,
Mhm.
or the low voices weren't loud enough. And I was basically sitting right next to one of the low voices, and I had to agree with him. So yeah, you're right. It's nice to get the differing opinions and the advice, but we definitely thought the Hanukkah singer was the best one.
Yeah, I haven't gone to festival holidays for quite some time at this point, just because the way marathon weekend works out for the runners, it's really hard to get down there for that and then go back the second week of January.
Mhm.
It's just, you only have so much so much time off and so many funds to make it happen. And it's one or the other. But like hearing all this, because I've been, it just makes me miss it, because it is such a cool event. because especially at Epcot, any time of the year, World Showcase is just amazing. You get this little snippet of all these cultures. And what I really enjoy now that we're kind of getting back to the normal times is that you see people, you'll see French people, people from France in the France pavilion, really proud of their country, like this is where I'm from, and once we get back to the cast members all working in those pavilions, that's even better. But then when you have, these storytellers telling the basically origin stories of how they celebrate the holidays in their culture and their countries, that's even better because I'm a huge Christmas fan. I love the holidays, and so
Yeah.
you're just making me. I got to get back. I'm
Yeah,
so.
I actually another one that I really liked was, Japan with the, Druma vendor. She was very entertaining, and I didn't know anything about their New Year's holiday traditions, and I thought that was really interesting as well. So yeah, you're learning all kinds of new stuff from very talented, entertainers and speakers, and, really enjoyed it, just going, and seeing all the different, ways that people celebrate. Yeah.
So let me ask you about so okay, you guys did sprinkle in some attractions, some rides, that are going to be there year round for those folks that are going and looking for some advice here, moving January, February throughout the rest of the year, outside of the holiday season. What were some of your favorites or anything that stood out to you as far as attractions, maybe old favorites or new favorites? What'd you think there?
Well, we Haunted Mansion is always one of our favorite ones, and they don't do a Christmas overlay, at least not at Disney World. I believe they do at Disneyland, but we're there. We have to go on it, and something that even I don't think they did just a year and 14 months ago when we were there. They took a picture on the ride, and then when you go through and the hitchhiking ghost is there, the picture that they took of us became our faces, and he reaches down and pulls our faces off, and I've never seen them do that before, so that was kind of impressive.
Good use of technology.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So that was something kinda new. And we normally don't do the Speedway, Tomorrowland Speedway cars, for a variety of reasons. Obviously, we're old enough to drive, it's no thrill.
I mean, if
Um
I'm in traffic at 4 miles an hour, I can just go out and
But, and the fact that they're still using gas motors for that, I feel sorry for the cast members who have to breathe that all day. Like,
I know.
Disney,
I've
they need to
always thought
switch to
that, like,
electric motors. I don't know why they don't.
what? Yeah, that's like the biggest no-brainer of all time. That should have happened 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Come on.
But we went on it because it did have a Christmas overlay, and the Christmas overlay was kind of cool. And a lot of places have these around their towns where you do drive through the park and they've got all the Christmas lights up everywhere. And so this was similar to that. But Len's driving this silly little car, and he's hitting that center rail, and we're
Yeah,
bouncing back and forth. And I'm like, "You are a terrible driver," and he's like, "It doesn't work like a regular car."
I'm with Len. Those things are the steering wheel is just a suggestion on those rides. Like you're not steering that thing. It's just there. It's like the steering wheel in like a cart at Target. Like it doesn't matter. It's not hooked up.
Yeah, with the one stuck wheel, it doesn't. So that was funny. To us, that was funny because it was, it's not what we were expecting. The overlay really was nice, but we were just cracking up because the driving was so hard.
That's awesome. Yeah, put Len and I in a car together, and that'll be something. Because that thing beats the crud out of you. It's not comfortable. It stinks because of the gas. Yeah, you're exactly right. I don't know why. They need to do something with that ride. Even though it's class. I mean, but it's like every 9-year-old boy's dream, right? Like, I mean, I remember when I was that age, man, I was like, I want to drive a car. Yeah, I'm gonna do all day is drive the cars. So you mentioned you guys went to the Christmas party. I want to make sure we get in a couple tips there.
Mhm.
So what strategies did you employ as far as like doing just Christmas stuff? Or, you did sprinkle in some rides here. You did Pirates, Haunted Mansion, the Speedway, the People Mover. So what did you think? Was it worth the money? Did it meet your expectations? Any surprises?
Um, a little bit. We always make a point, or I always make a point. This is my rule. If you're going to watch a parade, do it from Liberty Square.
I
Okay.
agree. Yeah.
It's the beginning of the parade. The crowds are far less, and again, I'm short, and so they've got porches and places that you can actually stand up and get above the people that are on that front row. That's what I like about it. The crowds are less, and you can see, and you're at the beginning of the parade. So you don't have to wait for an hour for it to get down to you at Main Street. And they had reindeer wranglers, some country singers that were entertaining us before the parade started. The country bear jamborees were out there dancing with them. So that was very entertaining. And much to my surprise, I'm standing there waiting for the parade to start, and I realized I'm smelling like cookies or something in the air. I swear Disney was pumping out a scent, and it was just like, oh, this is magical. You know?
I've never heard that. I mean, and I'll be honest, the one parade I do watch on Main Street is the Christmas parade sometimes just because the projections on the buildings on Main Street. But I think I have smelled something one time, but I thought it was just coming from the bakery. Now you're way back in Liberty Square,
Mhm.
so maybe there is something to this. But everybody, give us some feedback. Are there smells in the Christmas party parade? Because maybe they're doing that.
Yeah,
I
I've
don't
I've never smelled anything out there before that was what smelled to be intentional. Like I said, it smelled kinda like Christmas cookies or something. It was wonderful. I thought that was a wonderful touch.
I need that.
Um, yeah, and the parade was fun. The parade is always fun. I was surprised how long it was. And last night, Len and I were actually watching a documentary on Disney about how they do the switch over like overnight. How you go to bed one night and you get up the next day, and ta-da, the park has magically become Christmas land. And they said that this is actually the longest parade that they do every year, and it is a long parade.
I didn't realize that. Yeah, I mean, it's a great parade though. Those
Oh yeah.
to me, just seeing the marching soldiers, the wooden soldiers like the Nutcrackers, they're just I mean,
Mhm.
that is just it's it's like a Christmas movie come to life.
Mhm.
It's like you're standing in a scene from a Christmas movie. I love that. So
I
so
think one of
any
the
other
one of
tips
the
for
most
the party?
exciting things that we saw was not getting a stepping away from the party for a second because we're talking about projections and cool stuff. We went over to Hollywood Studios and we watched the projections on the Tower of Terror,
Mhm,
and they had, I guess it's called Snope. It
mhm.
looks like snowflakes coming down.
Yep.
They did that at the Christmas party as well, which was kind of a ooh after the fireworks. But at the Tower of Terror, they actually shoot lasers back through it, and it just kind of lights up in front of you, floating in the air. It was very cool.
And let me just ask you about the Tower of Terror because I agree. Isn't it amazing how crystal clear they can make those projections on the tower? I mean, to the point
Mhm,
where it almost tricks your brain into thinking like
mhm.
these toys are really falling right off the edge of this building,
Yeah.
or things are going up and down and all around. It's amazing
Yeah,
how
all of
how
the
quickly
projections we
it's up.
saw because we saw the Tower of Terror, and the Tower of Terror had, like, three different shows.
Mhm,
So if you just stick around for half an hour, you're gonna see 3 different animations going on. We saw the, Tree of Life Awakening, there are 2 different shows there, and same thing. I mean, the tree in real life is, bumpy and everything, but the projection on there is amazing. It just looks so real. Like it was on a flat screen. You couldn't tell that there was a bumpy tree behind it. Same thing with the castle. They've got everything so synchronized. And I guess the last one we saw, which wasn't for Christmas, it was just the standard uh, Wonderful World of Animation on the Chinese theater. And but again, just crystal clear. It's amazing what they can do with those projections now.
yeah, I mean, the show itself is amazing, but I think you just nailed what gets me every time is that these are not flat screens that they're showing these on. These are, sometimes circular buildings that have texture and it just disappears. It goes away when they put these, and I do not know how that works because it's like it almost breaks physics. I don't get it, but I love it. So Disney, your magic. That's all I
Yeah,
gotta say.
yeah,
It's
absolutely.
right. Okay, so you did some other things though, and I just want to list some of these that you did. Maybe talk about a couple of these. Got to see the Dapper Dans, the animals in the savannah at Animal Kingdom Lodge. You saw Spaceship Earth, that the light show, which I love. I
Mhm,
think that is a great touch. The beacons of light there, Jameters. So a lot of live entertainment this trip, and I think really to me, I mean, this is just me, but and maybe it's the same for you and Len. Live entertainment is what separates Walt Disney World from Six Flags to me. Well, Six Flags has some live entertainment. It's the quality of live entertainment typically and the amount and just how it kind of leaves me after a performance like, wow, that was unique and that
mhm.
was worth my time. So did you guys feel the same and any highlights there?
Yeah, We've seen the JAMMitors before, of course, but, it's never like, "Oh, the JAMMitors are gonna be at this location at this time, we have to be there." It's always like we come out of a building or we get off a ride and like, "Oh, they're starting." And just the thrill of hitting it at just the right time, and they are fun. They, like, they engage really well with the audience, and, they look like they're having a blast beating on those trash cans. It's amazing what sounds they can make come out of a trash can in a
Right.
bucket.
I don't think I could, but they can.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we love live theater. We go to concerts here in Baltimore all the time. We have season tickets to the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra, to the Hippodrome Broadway series. So we love live theater, and Disney just does it to a T. And like I said, it's always uh, well done. You never see anybody kind of go, and they interact with the audience so well. People can like we were at one of the storytellers, and some kids started calling out to the performer, and she just went right with it and responded to them, and just and rolled right on, and it's almost like, did you plant that kid?
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. And I'll give you an example too, because I always think the same thing. How do they consistently have such high quality performers? I know they have probably a lot of people that, go up for every role, so they have a pretty good pick of the litter there. But for all of our races for Run Disney, they always sing the national anthem before every race, which I love. That's very cool. But the thing is, the national anthem is sung at about 4:45 a.m. on a stage in the middle of a parking lot in Epcot, like the Epcot parking lot at about 4:45 a.m. And typically it's cold. Okay. I mean, it's usually, because the sun is not going to come up for another hour. And it's the middle of the night, basically. And they bring out, some live performer from somewhere on property to sing it, like a singer from Festival Lion King, or, some just live performer, maybe somebody from like Voice of Liberty, something like that. But it kills me because these people belt out, for even just like a 5K race, they're out there. I mean, I'm just thinking, I try to think about this person's perspective. They probably got out of bed at 2:30 in the morning. They're standing out in a parking lot at like it's 42 degrees, and they're singing like a songbird in the middle of a parking lot in the middle of the night. Like, how do you pull that off?
Yeah, like that's what they live to do.
You never signed up to sing the national anthem at 4:42 a.m. in the middle of a parking lot, in January. Like, but you're nailing it. Like it that kind of that's because I think that's why I'm a Disney fan. Like, I love the logistics of all that stuff. Like, they can do that. But who would have thought about anybody having to do that, having a singer sing in the cold in the middle of the night for the runners? But they pull it off consistently, so that's great. Okay, I want to make sure we get everything in here. So, we talked about how you make a lot of meals at the Villa, which is awesome, but you did eat out at some pretty cool places. So give us some highlights there. What were some of your better locations to dine?
um, I got to tell you about two. The California Grill. We had never been to the California Grill.
I've
The
never
last
been
time we were
either.
at the top of the Contemporary, I think it was called Top of the World, and they did a Broadway show and review back then. So it had been a very, very long time. And we know that Scotty G, that's one of his favorite places to go.
It is.
So we went there before we went to the Christmas party. And so, the fixed price menu. And both of us just basically licked our plates clean. It was so good. I mean, and it's a lot of food. I mean, we basically had to roll out of there and said, "Oh, thank goodness we're going to the Magic Kingdom so we can walk some of this off." But oh my gosh, it was good. Really, not cheap, but really, really good. And the other one was Boma. Boma is one of Len's favorite restaurants, and it's basically the buffet of African inspired foods. Um, and because it's a buffet, normally, like I said, no, I will talk to the chef and say this is my restriction, and they'll say, oh, I can do this and this for you. And but with a buffet, they can't. So what I had expected was for the chef to walk me down the line saying, don't eat that, don't eat that, you can have that one, don't eat that, don't eat that, don't, but he came over, and his name was Dan. And he said, yeah, there's nothing on the buffet that we can really help you with. I'm going to have to make you something just for you.
Wow.
And so he came back, a while later, and gave me this beautiful plate, and I was just amazed at how gorgeous the plate was plated. It was chicken, potatoes, rice, and green beans. I mean, it really wasn't. You don't walk away going, "Ooh, isn't that inspiring?" But it was beautifully put on some kind of a tomato sauce, lightly sauced base there. And he's saying, other than the rice, and he pointed down to the white rice, and that's when I realized the 3 scoops of white rice was a Mickey head. And I
Nice.
literally applauded and like, oh, it's Mickey rice. And all the people around me are looking at me here. He made my day, and it was so good. It was so good. It was just like made my meal. It
Everybody around you probably said, "I'll take that."
Well, no, Len, Len made an effort to take just small portions because it is a huge buffet. He made just take a little of this, a little of that, so he could try several different things. And then he hit the peanut rice. And he said, "Oh my gosh, this is so good." And he went back at least 2, maybe 3 times and got bigger scoops of peanut rice. I think he even got it when he went up to get dessert. He loved the peanut rice.
There's a chowder on that buffet that I get just like Len gets his peanut rice because I cannot stay away from it. It is so good. It is worth the price of admission. I get it with my dessert. I think I get one more. I get a little half bowl. My grandma when she was alive, God bless her soul, she'd always say, "How about just another penny's worth?" That's what she'd always say. Like after church, we'd have dinner. She'd say, "You want nickel's worth? Just a penny's worth." And that's all. Like I'm just gonna go get another penny's worth. Inflation, it's another $12 worth. But, what can you do? I'm glad you had a great meal there. That's awesome. Now, one other thing I wanted to ask you about was Three Bridges at Coronado. You guys ate there. What'd you think of that? Because I still haven't made it there, and I'm so curious.
Yeah, we had never even been to Coronado Springs before, so that was so we went and was kind of checking out the area. What surprised me, pleasantly surprised, was that basically it's an open restaurant. It really has no walls.
Mhm.
The weather while we were there was amazing. It was in the upper 70s and no humidity every single day. It was perfect. So it was really nice. Our server there was a gentleman named Manny from Kissimmee or Kissimmee. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. But he was very good. I'd be drinking my soda I literally am thinking, I'm getting low on this. I'm going to need to get another one next time Manny comes by. I put my soda down. He was right there putting a new one down. It was like he read my mind.
That's how they are cruise line. There's a cruise line. They're all like, it's crazy. It's like they're ninjas.
Yeah, so Len had gotten some kind of peppercorn, like Szechuan peppercorn wings or something, and I got steak and fries, really good. And apparently they're known for margaritas, maybe.
Mimosas, I think.
Mimosa, okay,
Yeah.
yeah. And we don't drink alcohol,
Yeah, okay,
so
yeah,
we
no, I think
didn't
it's
try
mimosa.
any, but we
Yeah.
saw the bar over there, and people were getting samplers of everything. So apparently that's really good too.
They do and they sangria too. I think they do a class on how to make mimosas and sangrias, like you can do group class. Because the Magic for Less did a class there. I wasn't there, but I've heard all about it from our agents. It was a hit. Okay, so moving away from the meals though, no Walt Disney World vacation is complete without snacks. I mean, you guys have Mickey bars. We already talked about this before we hit record. You got to have a Mickey bar, right? It's not a Walt
It's
Disney World
not
vacation.
Disney if you don't have at least one Mickey bar. Yeah.
Or 5. I mean, seriously, you got to have more than one. I mean, come on now. But what any other ones that you would recommend folks try as we move through? You got to make a good New Year's resolution. Forget going to the gym. Make a resolution to get one of these good snacks this year in 2023. What do you recommend?
Well, Len went to the spring roll cart out in Adventureland and got that because everyone said. In Epcot they were doing the cookie stroll. We very intentionally did not sign up for the cookie stroll. We just thought we really don't need all those extra calories. But I saw one listed that I just had to have, and it was a shortbread cookie with a dulce was it dulce crema? And anyway, the caramel type
Yeah,
stuff on the
I
inside.
think I get these. I had never heard of that
Mhm.
until at the grocery store. They have puddings that are that dulce de leche or something. I think is
Yeah,
what it's
something like
called.
that.
It's basically like vanilla pudding with a little caramel on top. They're sugar-free, 60 calories. Those are my go-to every day when I'm working. They're so good.
Yeah, so, I mean, and I kept saying, "We have to go get that cookie. We have to go," and it was like 3 or 4, almost the end of our trip, and I'm like, "I'm getting that
Yeah.
cookie," you know,
We're not going home. We're not going to Maryland until I get my
until I
cookie.
get that cookie. And it's shortbread, so it starts off very dry. You take a bite and it just, like, takes all the water out of your mouth, but then, it doesn't, you're not like, "Oh my god, I need a drink." I really enjoyed it. It was good flavor. They had a lot of cookies. We were very good and passed on all of them, but that was the one I had to have.
And I did see, because Len is not with us here on the air, but he is in the chat with us, which we really appreciate. He got the crumb cake over at the Boardwalk Deli, which I'm telling you what, they still have it, even though it used to be the Boardwalk Bakery. Now it's the Boardwalk Deli. They still have it. And I think there's another location that has it too. I saw it the other day online. I can't remember where. But I'll give you the update on that because I'll be down for marathon weekend here in the next week and I'll let you know. But yeah, one of the best bargains, great, huge snack, and I can't recommend that enough. Now, I want to wrap this up because we're getting a little bit long here, but we could talk for this trip was perfect. But you have some miscellaneous notes here that I wanted to make sure that we address because I find them super interesting. I mean, even things like you saw a ton of matching shirts. And sometimes they're hit or miss, but I mean, I guess maybe Christmas is, well, you know what? Maybe Christmas does lend itself to matching shirts because you get like PJ sets and stuff like that. Maybe it was the holidays.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, because like I said, 14 months ago, obviously people are wearing matching shirts, but we saw more of them now. And I thought maybe it's just the holidays. And you see the ones that say, "I'm only here for the snacks." And the other one is saying, "I'm only here for the rides." And grandma had one that said, "I'm only here for family time." And dad says, "I'm only here to pay the bills," you know.
Yeah,
Um,
I hate those. I hate I don't like the ones where they're like most expensive day ever.
I know.
You all
I,
know that. You don't have to remind me of that. I'm here to have fun. Stop.
yeah. But there was a wide variety of different ones, but so many of them. I just couldn't believe how many matching T-shirts there were.
That's funny. Now you also mentioned that you had some fun at the quiet pool because we always talk about feature pools. You kind of even mentioned Stormalong Bay over at Beach Club, which is an amazing pool. But Scott is kind of an advocate of this. He loves the quiet pools. Even over at Coronado Springs, there's a great quiet pool over at the Casitas by the little mini health club. And it looks like you guys had some time there and got to, speak with other guests and just get a little relaxing time at the quiet pool rather than the feature pool.
Yeah, yeah, it is. There When we were there with the family, we went to the feature pools. My grandson loved being there when the cast members were playing the games and things, and we enjoyed watching him play the games and things. But the quiet pool is just really nice. It's really relaxing. You really get away from all the hubbub that's going on out there. And after a busy morning in the park, and you've got a busy evening coming up, it's nice to get that quiet break. And they've got the hot tub, so you could that's where we were speaking to the other one of the other guests. We just climbed in the hot tub. He was already there, and we just sat and soaked and had the jets hit us. And, "Oh, where are you from?" "Upstate New York." And da da da. And we just had a nice long conversation with somebody we never met. We will probably never see again. But it was just it's a nice way to just really relax.
No, I'm 100% with you there because I've talked to people, because sometimes I go down for media stuff. Sometimes I'm down for races. There's quite a few times that I go down without the family just because of circumstances. Pam has to still teach and the girls are here, there, and everywhere with their obligations. And so, I'll go, I'll stay at Coronado Springs. So I'll go to the hot tub, for just a few minutes, just to kind of get you relaxed to get to go to bed, and a lot of times you just kind of strike up a conversation with people in there and you might talk to somebody from France or somebody from Australia. I'm from Missouri. I don't get to talk to people outside of the States very often. So I find it very interesting to kind of learn about them a little bit. But then one time I was talking to a couple and they were from, pretty far away. And the other couple in there is like, "Are you Mike from the Be Our Guest podcast?" Because they knew my voice. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm sitting here with a listener of the show." So you just never know. And you kind of mentioned that as well under these notes is that it is kind of fun to take the time if you're that kind of a personality. Not everybody is. A lot of people are introverts, but you can really enhance your vacation and learn a lot at the same time and actually kill a lot of time too, make it more enjoyable just by interacting with other guests. There's a lot of, because you're all there having a good time for the most part. Nobody's going to work. Nobody's dealing with, negative stuff typically at
Mhm.
Walt Disney World. Everybody's having fun. And so it's a good time to talk to people.
Yeah, I do the pin trading to less to some degree, and I have a safari hat with lots of pins on it, and that's usually a conversation starter. Oh, I like your hat. We were in line for the Jingle Cruise, and I heard a woman who was clearly talking to a young child say, "Oh, look at all the pins on her hat." So I turned around and she's holding, I don't know, 2.5, 3 year old, and the dad says, yeah, this is his first pin trading lanyard. And I'm like, oh, well, that's a big occasion. And I reached into my pocket and I gave him one of my trading pins. And we just chatted for a few minutes about, of course, the little 2 year old was kind of shy, but, so we just chatted for a few minutes and just, it's that Disney spirit that just gets into you.
It is. And he'll have a story, you have a story, and he has actually a physical pin that was probably in his bedroom, or on some pin board or still on the lanyard. Maybe, I like to think maybe it's hanging off his bedpost. I don't know what kids' bedrooms look like anymore. So mine looked like in the 70s and 80s. I don't know, but you made a moment, you shared a moment together, and that's again, here I go getting a little philosophical, but I think Walt Disney World gives us the opportunity to come together as people. And it's a lot easier to do that when you're at a place where a lot of the pressure is off. You're not hearing the news every day. You're not stressed about the economy. We all have those external factors in our life 24/7, even when you're at Walt Disney World. But I think for me, at least, and a lot of us, I think, that listen to the show, we get to turn that off for 3, 4, 5, 7 days while we're down there and just kind of be people and be good to each other. And I love see even if you're an introvert, it's good to see people just having fun, because I go solo many times, but I just get a kick out of watching dads and daughters walking hand in hand down Main Street. Makes me miss my girls, but man, it's good for the soul. It's good, it's good to have a place to escape like this. Do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. And you hear kids, crying when they're having to leave the park because they've had so much fun. And we kind of said, "There's no crying at Disney," but you know why they're crying, because they had such a good time and they don't want it to be over. But yeah, so it's definitely a place for making memories. Absolutely.
One other observation I wanted to hit real quick before we duck out of here and let everybody kind of get on with their wrapping up of the New Year's holiday is that you notice that at check-in, it looks like that the cast members were greeting guests instead of, and most of our listeners know that DVC resorts typically will welcome guests with a welcome home, especially DVC members. That's been just part of the dogma forever for Walt Disney World. Like if you go to Boardwalk Villas, Old Key West, what have you, Animal Kidani, they're going to give you a welcome home when you check in rather than, hello, or, like, I don't know what they tell you at Holiday Inn or whatever. I've been to them, just say, hey, I don't know, whatever, you're here. But now you notice they were saying friends. Now, I wonder if that was just those particular cast members or
It was
if this
across
is
the board.
okay,
It was
you saw it
across the board.
consistently because
Yeah.
I haven't heard that yet. That's it.
Yeah.
To me, that's kind of disappointing a little bit because the welcome home.
No,
I'm
they're
very
still
traditional.
they're doing the welcome home, which is nice to hear again because,
Okay, good because
they
that's
they
still
stopped doing
yeah.
it for a while. So it was wonderful to have, 3 people, say "Welcome home" when we walked into the boardwalk. But we noticed, that they started referring to people as "my friends" or, "Hello, friend, how many are in your party?" That
Nice.
kind of a thing. We When you're in line and they ask how many are in your party and you say 2 and they're like, "Okay, follow my friends down that way," and so everybody was just friends. These are my friends, and we thought that was kind of cool.
That's good. Okay, because I still like the way, and I love that the friends, the inclusivity, but I don't want to get rid of the welcome home because that's just something that always, like the the 2 finger point, right? I mean, that's like you're Walt Disney World. When you see that from a cast member, when you hear welcome home, it's like, well, no, I'm not at the Ramada. Like they're not like welcoming home. They're like, sucker, go to room number 728. You're on the 7th floor. Good luck.
Yeah, I think when we were there a year ago, they had not said "Welcome home," and we were like, "What?
Yeah,
Where's the welcome home?"
I'm
So
here.
we were very happy when we arrived this time and they said "Welcome home." It's like, "Okay, it's back, good."
Oh man, well, hey, this has been so much fun. We could go forever here, but let me kind of wrap this show up. How I do with a lot of guests. So, do you have any like one last story or one last memory or something you'd like to share? Maybe a tip for folks that are traveling here in 2023 that could help them. Doesn't have to necessarily be from this trip because you guys are Disney experts. Just final thoughts as we close out the show.
Um, as you said, planning helps, but don't overplan either be open to whatever comes your way. When we first started going, decades more ago, I would, okay, we're going to be at this park, we're going to do this ride, and then we're going to do that ride, and I was trying to get through and make sure we hit everything and check the schedule so we're there on the right time. And now it's like, yeah, we're going down for 4 days, and we'll just, because we have to make park reservations, we know what park we're going to be in. But other than that, come what may, you know. Oh, that line is too long. Let's walk. Oh, this line is short. We'll get in this one. And it just is a lot less stressful that way, and you get to really just enjoy it and see things that you might not have noticed before.
That's exactly right. Because when you say that, what I hear is like you get to avoid the stress, and what you're doing is you're taking, because if you have a strict plan, there's so many obstacles that can arise, because if you're like, well, we're going to make sure we do Jungle Cruise, like we have to do Jungle Cruise before lunch. If you say that, and then the line never dies down from like 180 minutes, your whole day's thrown off, because that was like you were set in stone that you had to do Jungle Cruise. But if you take the opportunity, like you said, like let's just kind of see what happens with this day. And if we do Jungle Cruise, that's great. Maybe we'll do it tomorrow. Maybe the line will be shorter, the next day, next time we're here. And, but we all travel differently. We've been many times, you and Len and myself and, a lot of our listeners. But yeah, I understand where people, maybe only get to go every 5 years. And it's a different situation where you really want to make sure that you get to do these big headliner things because, you've been looking forward to them and you've seen them, but you've never got to do them ever before and you want to. So I get it. But you're right. When you can cut down on the pre-trip anxiety and when you're in the parks just to kind of see what comes to you rather than you chasing after it, it's a whole different perspective. Like it
Yeah,
puts
and along those lines, I mean, there were some things that we definitely wanted to do. The Jingle Cruise was one of them because it had that Christmas overlay. So we went to Magic Kingdom, and that was pretty much the one thing we wanted to do before we went back for the Christmas party. And then the line was the posted time was like 90 minutes or something. But we was like, this is the one thing we want to do, so we're going to stand in line. Other people like, no, we've got other things we want to do. They might go find something else, but we had no problem standing in line because that was the one thing we wanted to accomplish, and we weren't trying to get to someplace else next.
right.
So,
Grab a
yeah,
snack and make the
yeah.
most of it. Exactly. Why, Jen, thanks for coming on the show. Len, thanks for being here as well. Even though we didn't hear your voice, you were here. We appreciate you. No, seriously, you guys have been friends of the show for quite a long time, and I appreciate your support. And wow, what a trip. And it was just great to relive it here with you. And I wish you guys the best in 2023 and beyond. Thanks for starting the year with us. First show of the year here on the podcast. I'm glad to have you.
Thanks, Mike. See you later.
All right. Don't forget, our show is always brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We are standing by here in the new year, getting ready to help you plan a great Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, or Adventures by Disney trip. You know what? As you go into work here to start off the year, tell your boss, I'm going to Walt Disney World, or I'm headed out on the Disney Fantasy or the Disney Wish. I'm going to take a Disney cruise. You got all that, you got to schedule that PTO that everybody talks about. I don't get that stuff. I just got to go. I got to figure it out here because I'm self-employed. But everybody else, Scott always tells me about his PTO. And I'm like, that was GTO. That was a car my dad always wanted in the 60s. No, PTO, paid time off. You got a whole new bunch of it. So let's take a vacation. Let's get it on the calendar here in 2023. I'd love to help you with that. So swing by themagicforless.com. We'll help you plan an amazing Disney vacation. You know all about it. Check them out today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link as you shop this year. That would really help us out. It does help support everything we do. BeOurGuestPodcast.com/Amazon. And a sincere thank you to the patrons of the Be Our Guest Podcast. You allow us to put these shows out more than really any other podcast out there. 3, 4, 5 shows a week. We just keep them coming. And you guys, I appreciate you taking the time to listen each week. If you'd like to get that bonus show, it's called Mike in the Midwest. I'm sure it's going to be a chilly one again this week. Check it out. It's over at patreon.com/BeOurGuestPodcast. Give me a follow on the social media because I'm headed to Walt Disney World on Wednesday. So in 2 days, I'm getting on a jet plane, heading down to, where's my first stop? Publix with Scotty G for a chicken tenders pub sub. Then we're going to Walt Disney World, and we're going to have lots of coverage from there. We're going to run 4 races. We're at least going to try to run 4 races, get 6 medals, and have all kinds of fun pictures on Instagram and Twitter. So I'm at Be Our Guest Mike. Give me a follow. I'm solo. Well, I'm with a family of hundreds of lizards, but I'm going to be posting a lot to social media. Would love to have you ride right along with me on the airplane as we go through the parks. I'm staying at Pop Century. We're going to have a good time. So follow me on social media. Would love to interact with you this coming week. All right, no live show this Sunday night because I will be in a lot of pain. If I make it, I will be in extreme pain because this will be the end of Dopey. I will have just finished 48.6 miles. I don't even know if I had to, if I could talk for an hour. If I brought the gear to Florida, it probably would not be possible. This is the worst shape I've ever been in. So send one up, send a prayer up for me on Saturday night that I can get through. It's like all of us, there's many of us in this boat. So everybody Saturday night, put it on your calendar, tell your Google Calendar, send a prayer up for all the lizards that didn't train enough this year for Sunday morning, because it's going to be an ugly one out there, but we're going to make it. We're going to get there, but just giving you a little heads up. This is going to be an adventure on Sunday. I'm already sweating bullets, but we'll see how that goes. Anyway, we're going to get out of here and wish you a great Monday and a very happy new year. And so glad that we had Jen and Len on the show from out in Maryland. I'm Mike here in Missouri, wishing you a great Monday. You stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. Yeah, Len, did you think that was a pretty good show? I did. I thought that was a great show. You got a good one. Len's a great guy.
Oh, he's the best. I married a saint.
So we got to hang out. So we got to get down there at the same time sometime. That'll be fun.
Yeah, we ran into Ricky one time when we were down there this past like I said, October of 21. We ran into Ricky down there.
Nice. She's nice.
Yeah.
I can't wait till she has that kid though, because for all these years she's been just like, she's been the one without kids, just doing whatever she wants, boo boo, sleeping in.
Not anymore.
I love it too. I'm like, yeah. Up to 3 o'clock. And she's like, I won't miss any podcasts. I'm like, okay. That's what you say right now. Wait till have a baby. That baby demands all your time. But
she can bring the baby on the podcast.
No, we're not playing that because I'm not editing a baby crying out of a podcast. No. Not because the dog's bad enough. She brings that dog in. The dog slips on the microphone half the time, knocks the microphone onto the floor. No, I love her to death. It's gonna be an adventure, and that's what life's all about. So it'll be fun. Well, hey, you guys have a great Christmas and a happy holidays, and I appreciate you taking the time because I know it's super busy, but everybody's gonna love the show. This was a great one.
Great. Thanks, Mike.
All right. Take care. Tell Letta I said hey. See you, Len.
Bye.
Bye.